StraightAllDay.com.
Everybody, welcome to the Anna and Dre show. Y'all know who we are. We ain't gotta introduce ourselves no more. First of all, our last episode, I told Anna about this. Listen, she don't know about none of this. She don't go look at the video after I put it out. She don't read none of the comments. Only person looking in the comments and knowing what's happening is me. So she don't know about none of this. But I told her, like, after we put out the last episode, which was white girl who dates black guys, pizza. Yeah. Even though she's technically not the type of white girl that the post was about. The post was about American white girl. She's not even from America, she's from Europe. But anyway, we used her as the example because it was the closest thing we could find. And that episode, it came out, and the first day or whatever, some people saw it while it was over. But then, like 3 weeks after the episode came out, and the way YouTube videos come out is like you get the majority of your engagement at the beginning, then it just goes down and goes into a trickle, and it just stays there, or whatever that's going to be, relatively speaking. But then this video just picked back up out of nowhere. I don't know who saw it, what happened. Maybe YouTube put it on somebody's homepage. I don't know. But all of a sudden, it just started getting all this traction and all this engagement. And of course, a ton of comments. People was coming in and saying all kinds of shit. It was some crazy shit. It was some trolling. It was some positive comments. It was some negative comments. It was some questioning and all that. But I want to do a whole episode where we just address comments from that episode. We're not going to do that right now. We'll do that in the future. So, and anybody wants to talk more about that, I think in the future we will. But today we're going to talk about something else. We were listening to a podcast just now. We were driving. We didn't even plan to do this, but I keep my camera with me. And somebody had mentioned, blah, blah, blah person got accused of sexual assault or sexual misconduct. Y'all know this has been happening everywhere in the news. We got the Me Too campaign with the women and all. And I paused what we was listening to, and I said to Anna, well, look, we've been together for like 4 years now. Yeah. And what if somebody came out, and let's say 5 years ago, before we met, they accused me of sexual misconduct? What if a woman said, yo, Dre slapped the shit out of me, as an accusation? Or they said, Dre, he didn't necessarily rape me, but he kind of forced himself sexually on me. It wasn't necessarily rape, but it was, I wasn't trying to have sex, but he kind of made us have sex. And I asked Anna, like, how would you feel if someone came out with that accusation about me way after the fact, and now you're with me? Because, before Anna gets to say a word, because all the women are going to be looking at her like, yo, you with this dude. Let's say we're in the public eye, because if it happened now, I don't think too many people would know about it. Probably nobody would even put the accusation because they don't gain nothing from it. But let's say I'm in the public eye, we're in the public eye. Everybody's going to be looking at me, of course, because I got accused, but they also going to be looking at you. Like, yo, you dating a dude who just got accused of sexual misconduct. That's the phrase they're using, misconduct. How you gonna keep dating this guy who got accused of sexual misconduct? He's a bad guy and he did this to a woman and rape culture and blah blah blah. How you gonna support that? How would you respond to that? So that's my question to him.
Well, first of all, I would ask you, did it really happen? And I would really listen to you and what you have to say, because I trust you more than I trust somebody that comes with an accusation at you. So that would be my first thing that I would do.
Okay, question. What if they wrote, let's say they did like the guy, as sorry, remember that story? Yeah. The actor. And some women wrote this like long blog post about what happened that night, detail by detail. And if their opinions were actually split to that. Yeah. Some people said he was wrong, and some people said, no, he actually wasn't because you weren't clear what you wanted, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So let's say that somebody wrote a post like that about my terrible night with Dre all day. Yeah. And everybody in the world read it. And people's coming at us on social media. And I said, you know what? And I said to you, maybe I don't say this in public, but I say it to you, everything she said in the story is true. That's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. How would you respond?
Well, I would, hold on. They said it was, I don't know what the question is.
So let's say the woman comes out accusing me of sexual misconduct, but she does it through a social media post.
Yes.
Like that's what everybody's doing these days. So. All right, so I spent the night with Dre, and we went out to this bar or restaurant.
I would believe the story that you tell me.
Yes, and then I say, as a response to the story that she put out, yo, read this story.
Yeah.
Everything she said is factual. It happened just like.
So it depends on what's factual. What are the facts?
If she says, so let's look
this
at
is the
like
type of story that like every single detail matters. This is not just, oh, this is what happens and you don't need to know the details. Details matter here. So what are the details? It depends on that.
Okay, well that makes it, I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything. But let's say your original question was, what if I was accused of forcing myself onto a woman?
Right.
Not rape, but I had forceful sex or whatever. I guess forceful sex would be a rape.
It was very,
but
it wasn't necessarily rape. Like, she didn't accuse me of rape. She didn't go to the cops. But years later, she's like, you know what? What happened that night, I didn't want that to happen, and I finally feel confident enough to speak out about it.
Right.
And she's like, yo, I wasn't trying to have sex that night. I wasn't even trying to go home with you, but because you were so powerful and you had a certain position and I looked up to you, I kind of let you do what you wanted to do. I was very uncomfortable that night, and now I finally feel strong enough to speak out about it because of this whole Me Too campaign. Everybody's speaking out, so I feel good enough to do something. Yeah. And I said to you in private, like, yeah, I did kind of take the pussy that night.
Right.
For lack of a better term.
I don't know. First thing, I would hear your story, and if you confirmed everything that she said, then I would probably sit you down and ask you questions like, what was going through your mind and why did that happen the way it did? And I would listen to you. But regardless of that, for me, it's a relationship decision because I know you as a different person now. And you haven't conducted that way with me, and I don't know you in that, I don't know you that way. So for me, what matters is how you treat me right now. But also, on another point, like, I don't have a problem with dominant men. That's the thing. So that's why the details matter, because it depends on how far you took it and what exactly happened.
Okay. So
I'm not saying I condone rape culture or anything violent. I'm totally against violence. But I am not against men initiating and pursuing and dominating, and I don't know what else they can do.
All right, let's talk about that. That's the point right there, because the whole Aziz Ansari, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Yeah. So this guy, if y'all don't know this story, I don't even know when this happened. Actually, it was like last year in like August, September. This guy, Aziz Ansari, is a big time actor. He wrote a couple best-selling books. He's known, big time dude. He went out with some girl who was either working for him or with him, but she was at a low status position. He's in a high status position. I mean, any room he walks into, everybody knows who he is. So she went out on a date with this guy because she did like him. She was a fan of him and she liked him. They go on a date. They go back to his apartment. He's like, let's go back to my apartment. She's like, okay. They go back to his apartment. And then he's like trying to force himself on her. He tries to kiss her, put his tongue down his throat. He tried to get her to give him a little bit of head. And she did a little bit, but she didn't really want to. And then he tried to get her clothes off and she didn't really want to. So then they just chilled out. And then he tried again. He just kept trying. And the way it sounded is that he was just very awkward in what he was doing. And I would think to myself when I heard the story, like, okay, maybe he's just not that sexually experienced. But then I'm like, this guy has to be sexually experienced. He's fucking famous and he's single. He lives in LA, New York. I think he may be very experienced. Maybe he has a different opinion on that. But then I thought, after reading through the whole story, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, what he did was very creepish. That's the best thing you can say. He didn't actually rape her because they didn't have sex. But what he did was very creepy. But when I read through the comments, because anytime something like that happens, I like to browse the comments just to see what people are saying, because I know people are going to be very emotional about it. So you have some people saying this guy's the scum of the earth, and you have other people saying, yo, he didn't do anything wrong. If the bitch didn't want to do nothing, pick up your shit, get your purse, and get the fuck out of the house. Or be like, yo, get the fuck off me. Or say, yo, I'm not trying to do nothing. She didn't do any of that. So some people are saying he's terribly wrong for what he did, and some people are saying she's terribly wrong for what she did. And after reading through that and hearing what you just said, that you like dominant men, see, it seems like the opinion is split.
Yeah.
There are some people who are like these, I don't even know how to describe that. I don't want to even use any certain terms to offend anybody if I'm not using the term properly. But there are some people who are like, listen, if the woman gives off a hint of energy that she's not interested, the man is supposed to back off, stop, and don't touch her. While there are other women who say, look, if I give a little bit of a resistance to a man, even just a hint of resistance, and he just gets hands off and doesn't try anything, then he's a pussy.
Yep.
He's not tough, and I don't even want that kind of dude.
He doesn't want me.
Right. So some women are how you think, but some women are like, yo,
yeah.
If I move away and you try to kiss me, yo, don't ever touch me again for 24 hours.
This is why I think emotional intelligence is so important, because this shit is highly emotional. It's all about getting another person's emotions, knowing what she feels, and playing into that, negatively or positively, whichever way you choose. But you don't know what I'm thinking unless you are in tune with how I think. So that's why one person can be offended, and another person, like me, I would have been like, okay, if you tell me like, oh, let's have sex, and I said no, I might want you, but I'm gonna say no because I want you to pursue me.
Now that's
and if you back off, I'm thinking that no, you don't want it.
No, we gotta unpack that. Now, see, this is the green line.
I'm not saying everybody should be like this or anything like that. It's just how I grew up, the culture I grew up in. It's just what's in my psyche. But I understand there are other women who think differently.
And this is where we get a gray line, because if I'm a man and I just heard you say that, and you're like, yo, I want a man who's gonna fucking go after it and kind of not make me submit, basically, is what you're saying, right?
But you need to know, but there is also a line there. I'm saying it in a healthy way. I'm not saying it like hold me against my will or something like that. There is a fine line. So as a man, you need to know, that's why I'm saying emotional intelligence is important. You need to know what a woman is feeling. Unless you're concerned about, or unless you are able to recognize her feelings, more mistakes you're gonna make.
So then the question becomes,
and men are highly logical. You know, they see it as it is. They don't see emotions too much, and those men always lose.
So then the question becomes this, because it was the same thing that as is in Zara's story, was there were men in there saying, actually no, it was women in there and men in there saying, look, this woman's writing this post saying, I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't want to do this. I felt bad when he did that. It made me feel like I was under pressure and all these things that she was feeling and thinking, but she did not verbalize.
Right.
So people were saying, yo, bitch, you didn't say anything. How the fuck we supposed to read your mind?
Yeah.
So when you say emotional intelligence, knowing what somebody is feeling, how are we supposed to know what a woman is feeling? How am I supposed to know if you're thinking, I want a dominant man that's going to actually go after it, versus I'm with a girl who's like, yo, if I even back away from you, don't touch me for 3 weeks. How am I supposed to know the difference if you're not verbalizing what you actually want?
Yeah, that's emotional intelligence. They don't need to verbalize. For you to be emotionally intelligent means that you read off my cues, my nonverbal cues. But unfortunately, a lot of men think that if there is no verbal cue, there is no cue at all. It's not like that. That's why we need to educate ourselves on the emotions. And emotions matter. They're everything. Especially with women. If you're dealing with women, we're highly emotional. It's just how we're made.
There was this Russian girl that I followed on social media a long time ago. And I remember one time she tweeted, she said, a real man should never ask, he should command. Have you ever heard that statement?
Yes.
Is that something you agree with?
I grew up in a culture where men don't ask questions. They tell you what to do. And not in the worst chauvinistic way. But they, not the slave, they still treat you like a queen, and they still really, really respect women, but they are super proud, and they're going to make sure that they're authority, and they're very authoritative. And some part of me respects that, but also I think that a man needs to know when to be authoritative and when to let the woman lead as well. So there's a fine line. So to that woman, my response would have not been, hey bitch, it's your fault, you should have packed up and left or called the cops or something. I don't know, she might have been a different type of woman. She's a different. Now, I don't judge her, and I don't know if he's wrong or right. I wasn't there, and I honestly don't know. But if it was me, I would have acted differently if it was me. But again, no judgment against her. She's not me, so I can't expect anything else from her. I respect her for who she is and what she says. So it's very individual to me. It's very individual.
In your experience with American-born men, I was born in America. any other men that you've met, do you find that American-born men are a little bit more respectful, for lack of a better term, of a woman's resistance, or less, or do you not notice a difference at all from your culture to America?
In comparison to my culture, if I generalize it, I would say they are more...
Tell them where you're from.
So I'm from Georgia, and Georgia is eastern.
Country, not the state.
It's a country in Europe, and it's right in the middle of east and west. And we don't know if we're Eastern Europeans or we're Western Europeans. Still, we don't know that. But we have a lot of influences from all over the Europe. So we have some Muslim influences, even though we're a Christian country, and we have some European and Western influences as well. But generally, Georgian men are very, very dominant, and
More than Americans?
way more than Americans. But granted, because I like not just dominant and authoritative men, but I like men who stand their own ground. So even if I'm in America, I never sought out different kind of men. Every man I've dealt with in my, friendships, even friendships or intimate relationships, there was a man that they're not gonna ask too many questions. They're gonna command. So I'm not attracted to any other type of men. So I haven't had intimate relationships with those men.
So what kind of men, when you say not attracted to any other type other than what?
I like strong men who say what they want to say, and sometimes they might, initiate, a lot of times they will initiate the sex, and if I say no, it doesn't mean I don't want to have sex with you. It just means try harder, stupid. That's what it means.
So if you say no, and I'm not saying this from my own education, but
I'm the type of woman that I'm also very dominant as well. So I'm not going to put myself in a harm's way. Or if somebody invites me to their house, as a guy invites me to his house, I always have it on my First of all, a lot of the times I would have not gone.
If you weren't interested in him.
If I wasn't interested, but if I'm interested in a guy and I go to his house, I always keep it in the back of my head that, listen, he's inviting me to his house because it's his territory and he's gonna have control over me. So do I want to put myself in a situation where he has control over me or not?
So let me ask a question right there, because that's another thing from that story that I didn't bring up. A lot of people were saying, and there was males and females in the comments split down the middle, that were saying, yo, if you weren't trying to have sex with this dude or get physically intimate with him, why did you go to his house? Right. As if going to his house means you understand there's an unwritten contract that something physical is going to happen if a woman goes to a man's house. I don't think that.
No, I don't think that either.
But a lot of people were saying that.
However, as a woman, you need to have your intuition. You have your intuition and you need to know, and logically, I think it's logical to know, you're entering the man's territory. What's going to happen in his territory, you don't have control over it, or very little control. So as a woman, you're carrying with you, like we were talking the other day, like you're carrying with you this freaking organ that everybody wants. So why wouldn't you protect yourself? Why wouldn't you protect yourself? And know that, listen, there is a chance that this guy might want this. Do I want to be in that precarious situation? Do I want to put myself in that situation or not? I myself have not put myself in that situation because I know I don't want to be out of control. I want to control what's happening.
So question, when, let's say you're out on a date with a guy before we met, and he invites you to his place, but you're not ready or interested, at least at that point, to do anything physically with this guy.
Yeah.
For that reason alone, you would decline to go to his place?
Majority of the times. It also depends on the person. Like, what vibe do I get from this person? How much do I trust this person? It's all emotional. Again,
so how does
it's
emotional.
Feel?
It's not just black and white checklist.
It's never a black and white. Because we're human beings. We're human beings. How can it be black and white?
So what would you teach your daughter? Let's say you had a daughter and she's going into dating and she's going to deal with these situations. What would you tell her, like, on a basic level? Because, she may not be able to intuit things as well at first. What would you tell her when she goes on her first date with some guy? He got a car, he got his own place, and she's like, hey, Mom, I'm going on this date. How do I navigate these waters?
Again, it depends on an exact scenario, but I would teach her to stay in control of her own safety. and never let yourself be vulnerable, physically vulnerable to someone else, and never enter somebody's territory if you don't 100% trust them or are willing to do what they might want you to do. I mean, I think that can be very logical, and that can be very point blank and black and white. Don't put yourself in a situation where you can get fucked up. Fucked.
Against your will.
Against your will.
Yeah. All right, it was something else that you said in the middle of that I forgot what the hell you said, but I wanted to talk about.
You were talking about, I'm carrying myself with this work.
Oh, right. All right. So I was listening to, I don't know who brought it up, but they said Dave Chappelle said this, that one time he went out and he performed his comedy, and somebody gave him $25,000 in cash. So Dave Chappelle got on the train, he's riding home on the train, and he's thinking to himself, yo, if anybody in this train knew that I had $25,000 in cash in my bag, they'd kill me just to take the money. And then I told Anna the story, because I think I heard it, and then I told you what I heard. And I said Dave Chappelle said that he feels like anybody knew he had this, they would kill him, or they would just do something crazy to get what they wanted from him.
Yeah, I overheard that podcast.
Okay, so you heard it too. And then I said to her, and he said, this is what Dave Chappelle said, he said, every woman, every time she's out in public, feels just like that. Because she has something that, at least when it comes to men, they want, and they may be willing to do something crazy physically to get what they want. And every woman feels like that all the time. And I asked Anna, do you feel like that all the time? And if so, why?
Yeah, I feel like that most of the time. I mean, I'm not conscious of it all the time, but subconsciously I always know that, men are around, and especially if you're a halfway attractive woman, most men will say yes, and they will pursue you. So, and it's happening to me all of my life, as far as I remember. So, yeah, it's a vulnerable situation.
It happened to me, what, men proposition?
Yeah, all the time. So, it's I guess it's a different way to live. You develop different ways to protect yourself when you're a woman, and everybody wants what you have, I guess.
Do you think most women, most women who do anything to make themselves look halfway presentable deal with that same energy?
I think so.
For the most part?
I think so, and I guess some women feed into it and they like it. I'm not the kind of woman who does feed into it.
What do you mean by feed into it?
Like, when a woman dresses super provocatively, you are feeding into it. You're asking for that kind of attention. You're asking for sexual attention. I'm the type of dresser that I dress for myself. I dress to feel confident, to feel good about myself. I don't dress for men. So, but there is a difference. There is a different energy that comes at you when you dress for men, and different energy that comes to you when you dress for yourself, for your own confidence.
So when you say dress for men, I don't want to lead you into deep waters here, but when you say a woman dressing for men, a woman dressing for herself, is there certain types of clothing, do you mean, or do you mean just the intention behind it?
It's the intention behind it, because men are, they see things. I guess they're attracted to shapes and sizes, and they're more literal than women are. So what they see is shapes. So it's not about how expensive my clothing is, or is it off the rack, or is it off a Parisian runway show. It's not about that. From men,
it's not about that either.
No, you can wear like tight, $2 Hanes underwear and tie a t-shirt around your whatever top, and you can look sexy because you're revealing some part of your skin, and you're also revealing your shape. So that's what a man wants to see. He doesn't want to see how much you paid for your clothes. That's not what's arousing to him. So women know how to arouse men.
So you're saying if a woman was to dress in a way that her curves or her shape and her assets, for lack of a better term, are showing, she knows what she's doing. She knows that that's going to get a certain type of attention.
Yeah,
even if she wasn't doing it for that, but she knows that can come with it.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fine.
But very often, you know, we women, we know why we do certain things. A lot of times, if you're revealing your shape, especially like if you're really revealing your shape, it's on purpose. It's most of the time it's for men.
Okay, that's not even specifically the topic of what we're talking about here today. What we're talking about is the culture of men, because what you said there is very interesting. The very point that we started talking, we were talking about this before I turned the camera on. When she said it, I was like, wait, we gotta get this on camera.
And I like dominant men.
Yeah, you
and
like
I don't see a
dominant
problem.
men.
I don't see a problem with dominant men. I think
But let's describe the dominant man, because I want men, because men will watch this, and I want them to understand what you mean when you say a dominant man.
Like,
what is it?
Men are made, like, we have this $2 million year brain. We are still
we as in humans?
Men are still the hunters. Like, men were made to go out there and hunt animals and whatever and bring them home and skin them and all this stuff. So that neurology is still controlling us. It's still in our brain. Yeah. And women are gatherers. We do, and we make things pretty, and you know, we care about the details, and we see like the colors that you guys don't see and shapes that you don't see, because that's how our brain is made. We are made for details. We're made to, you are motivated by results, and we like the process. We like the tedious little, process. We like that shit. So we're different creatures. So
you're saying you're speaking to the men.
You as men.
Okay.
So men are, I think by nature they're dominant. You have testosterone. Testosterone makes you dominant.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is what makes a dominant man versus, like, what's the opposite of a dominant man? How would you describe? What are other types of
submissive, I guess.
Submissive or passive?
Passive, yeah.
Passive. What other?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about the dominant man. Because you said you like dominant men, and dominant man is the type of man that could be in the bedroom with a woman, try something, and she kind of resists.
Yeah.
But he keeps pursuing, ends up having sex with her, and that's what she actually wanted. Right? Now, but you're saying also, but actually I'll say, that there are men who, like, I'll tell you, myself, for example, if I'm with a woman, before you and I was together, and a woman kind of gives me that type of resistance in the bedroom, the first thing that I'm thinking is not, okay, I'm not strong enough to overcome this. The first thing I'm thinking is, if I pursue this and something happens, and the next day she wakes up and tells her mom or her brother or the cops that I did something, now I got a situation. That's the first thing on my mind.
Yeah.
So, but that woman, let's say if that woman happened to be you, she might look at me and say, okay, well, this dude ain't dominant enough. He ain't tough enough. He ain't strong enough.
He doesn't want
He's too passive. Yeah, he doesn't want me. He's not being aggressive enough to come get it. And I got a story that I can tell right here about exactly something like that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not that, but obviously we're together. So I'm not that guy. I'm not the passive guy. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm thinking something completely different than what the woman is thinking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that between men? Between different men as a woman? If now that you know that that's what I'm thinking, it's not about, hey, let me just get what I want because I'm not a dominant man and I'm beating my chest. But I got to protect my interests. I can be behind. Yeah. I can be in a cage over this.
Yeah, I mean, when I got to know you, you weren't that kind of a dominant man with me sexually. Like, that's not what you did with me, and I'm still here with you, right?
Right.
So, but the reason why is because I have the emotional intelligence to see who you really are, and I could tell that you would overstep a certain boundary because you would self-protect, and it had nothing to do with how attractive you are with me. You exemplified you being attracted to me and being dominant and strong in other ways, where I had I didn't have to question like, oh, does this guy really want me? I felt like you really wanted me, and you didn't have to be dominant in sex or initiating sex for me to believe that you were dominant.
I didn't have to do it in a physical way.
No, you didn't have to do it in a physical way, correct? So this is all like very individual. Again, like this is not like. And another thing I'm gonna say, if you are a dominant man, most likely you're going to attract a submissive woman and vice versa. If you're not a dominant man, you're going to attract more of a dominant woman because it's the polarity. It's how nature works. You're not gonna attract the same type of energy as you have because the attraction is based on polarity. It has to be, the differences is what
Explain
draw.
polarities.
So the polarity, there is feminine and masculine energies that we all have, and men would have, like, you're a very masculine man and I'm a very feminine woman at core. But sometimes we have, we both have both energies, feminine and masculine. Men have feminine and masculine energy in them. Women have feminine and masculine energy. But at different points, different energy comes out in both men and women. So if you are a masculine man at core, most likely you're going to attract a feminine woman, a feminine at core.
Okay, so I'll tell you a scenario. This actually happened. Maybe a year before we met, I met this girl who was from Lithuania in South Beach, and we went out. This is the first time we had went out. Now, she was a little bit more, how do I explain? She was a little bit more open to getting, it seems, open to getting intimate quicker than you or some other women.
Before you say anything, I already know that culture, so I kind of can.
So I'm gonna tell you what happened.
I can predict what happened.
You predict what happened. I'm gonna tell you.
So I would assume that, like just you said, she was more open to having sex quicker than others, and she was at the same time she was very passive. Like she wasn't used to dominant men. So I don't know what exactly happened, but she would not. Like, a dominant man would excite her, but it's not in her culture. Like, men in that culture are not dominant. They're kind of like passive.
Kind of. That's kind of what happened. But I played basketball in Lithuania, so I met a lot of Lithuanian women. But this particular woman, this is what happened. We went out, and this is the first time we went out. So some women who are watching this, or men with women that you've dated or you've been around, the first night you're with the woman, you just met her. Like, for example, when we first met, like, how did you, like, as far as the way that you would dress with me or anybody, the first time you're meeting the man, how you going to dress, like, the type of body language that you're going to use, the kind of signals that you're going to give off are going to be very, like,
it's going to set the tone for how it's all going to go from then.
It's like hands off, conservative.
Oh, how I would do it?
Yes.
However I do it, that would set the tone. But the way I do it is, I dress sexy but not revealing. Like, I leave a lot to the imagination.
So that means like pants?
It doesn't have to be pants or a skirt. It just, I'm not gonna wear like show my skin or be super revealing. I'm gonna be classy but sexy at the same time.
Now, what if the man tries to get physical with you first day? Like touch you or kiss you?
That's not gonna happen with me.
You don't want that?
No, unless it's an animal that doesn't think, in which case I'll probably know in 2 minutes and then I'm out of there. So if we're getting to the end of the dinner, there's no way that I'm not gonna catch a sign that he's just off his rocker. So
let's say he said, I'll walk you to your car, and he tries to put his arm around you, kiss you.
Then I'm gonna let him know that it's not okay. He's not gonna do it again. I did that to you, but I didn't tell you it wasn't okay. The way you did it, like, you held my hand, I think, and I let you because it wasn't crossing no line at that time.
Okay, so this girl, first night we had went out, we had met online, so we knew who each other was, but the first time we met in person, she had on this real short skirt, not super short, but it was short, and we went out, and as where we were sitting, we were facing each other, and she like crossed her legs, and her legs was almost touching me, and it was like obvious if you're watching it, you like, all right, she knows what she wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way I'm thinking is I wasn't so aggressive in just getting physical with her so quick because I didn't really know her. I'm trying to feel out the situation, and I didn't push it that far that day. And I think for whatever reason we couldn't go anywhere because I didn't have for whatever reason I didn't have somewhere we can go. She didn't have somewhere we could go, or something was going on. We didn't get to do anything that day, and it didn't go anywhere after that. It dissolved after that. Because I think that she was expecting me to be a little bit more forward and aggressive than I actually was. in that situation?
Maybe, but culturally and not culture, their men are not as dominant.
So if a man is more dominant, then that will kind of push her away a little bit.
It might. It depends on how she's socialized too. I don't know how long she was here, what kind of influences she had, but that's like a very general statement. So typically, like men of Slavic origin, they're not known by their dominance and their machoism. They're usually more subdued and passive.
Okay.
That's why when they come and see Georgian men, they lose all their shit and they marry all of them. They love Georgian men. Yeah, like there's a history with like Russian and Slavic women. They would travel to Georgia because Georgia is like beautiful resorts in Georgia, and they would come for summer and they would just stay because our men was like so irresistible to them.
What's Slavic? What's Slavic?
Slavic is like Russian, Hungarian, Bulgarian, Czech, Lithuanian, like that's all Slavic origin. Latvia, all those 3 republics are Slavic origin.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything else to say on this topic? We're talking about dominant men, a man who would just go and just...
I think, whatever's going on in the world right now, it's becoming more and more obvious that we need to get in touch with our own emotions and learn the emotional intelligence more than facts and figures and logic, because logic will take you only so far, but emotions can be the difference between you losing and winning the game of any type of game, relationship game.
Well, this whole Me Too campaign is about, hey, if you did this after she did that, you're wrong. That's what it's been about. It's been like Russell Simmons, Aziz Ansari, and all these people. Like basically, as soon as, and y'all can tell me if I'm getting this wrong, as soon as the accusation comes out, before the man even gets to say anything, is like, yo, you are a piece of shit. You shouldn't have did that. You were wrong. Hey, everybody who's endorsing this guy better drop him. Any job that he has, he better get fired. There's like, the man don't even get a chance to say anything. If somebody just puts the accusation out there, you are fucked.
Yeah,
that's what's been happening to men.
I think that's very sad. I think a lot of times we're probably criminalizing something that shouldn't be.
It's definitely criminalized.
And I think that's very sad, because you shouldn't. Like, men are human beings too. And I think also, like, as a woman, you have to take responsibility. And if you're a woman who's like, who doesn't like dominant men, like, at least you can protect yourself. I don't know. I think women need to step up, just as men need to become more, whatever they need to become. But I certainly agree with men in, like, at a workplace, men of power in a workplace who are taking advantage of it.
And that happened.
That should not be happening. I don't care. There is no, everything I said does not apply with, if it's in the workplace, you should not be afraid to go to work, or you should not be taking advantage. Everything we've been talking about is in the dating space. I'm talking about, this is all about relationships. But, I've been the last thing I would want when I was working for a corporation is for my boss to be that way, or to exploit his power. That's just unacceptable. I don't care what he says, what glance. It's very point blank and very, very black and white at work.
You ever have a boss come on to you?
No, I have not, because I have a big fuck off written on my forehead if I see a slightest sign. Yeah, I do.
Okay. So with the statement that you just made, though, however, we got to make sure we put this in there. Some women who are, I don't even want to say that they're feminists, because you can call yourself a feminist too, but have the opinion that you have. But there are some women who nowadays, like, the defense to what you just said is that they'll say that you're victim blaming. Because you say the woman needs to be smarter, or the woman needs to make better decisions, or the woman could have did this, or the woman could have did that. So this misconduct situation didn't happen. And you're saying, like, yo, the woman could have took a different step here. And then people say, well, you're just blaming the victim.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm not blaming the victim. I said it about...
No, I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that people could say that to you, because as soon as you say anything that the accuser messed up, they're like, oh, you're blaming the victim.
But let me say something. With the Aziz Ansari girl that blamed him or accused him, what I would tell her is, listen, I don't judge you. You are your own person. You make your own decisions and you have your own feelings. I don't judge you. But the whole situation, and I'm not blaming her, the whole situation, I think, needs to be an eye-opener for other women who say, listen, this is what can happen. So how can I change my own circumstances? How do I make sure that it doesn't happen to me or men that I deal with? I think it needs to be a warning sign. I'm not judging them, though, and I'm not blaming them at all. What I said is I would have acted differently, but it's okay that she acted that way because it's her. I can't expect my own, thoughts and feelings and behaviors and my socialization from a different person. And it's unfair to judge them. It happened. Whatever happened, happened.
So as far as this topic of dominant men, because that's really how this conversation started, do you feel there is a space for success, dating and relationship-wise, for both the really feminine men, and we're talking heterosexual men, the really feminine man, the passive man, what's the other phrase that we use? The man who's not the non-dominant man, and the dominant man. Do you feel they all can have equal levels of success, no matter where they are on the scale of dominance?
Absolutely,
with
they could.
Women?
Yes, because if you're more of a feminine man or you use more of a feminine submissive approach, you're going to attract a woman who has an opposite energy, and that's the only way she can be attracted to you. So if you're a dominant woman, you might enjoy more of a feminine or passive approach. So attraction cannot happen otherwise. If we both have the same energy, we're dominant in the same way, there's no chemistry. There's nothing that's going to attract us to each other. Somebody has to dominate.
So with men who are, let's say there's a man watching this now who's really trying to figure out his place in the dating world and trying to meet the right type of woman. Do you feel like, let me ask this first, do all men know where they are on the scale between dominance and what's the opposite of dominance for men?
Non-dominant?
Okay, so on the dominance scale, being 100% dominant or 0% dominant, does every man even understand where he is and how that relates to the type of woman he's going to attract?
No, I think most people are unaware, and we're kind of we're acting without knowing who we are and what we do and why we do it.
So this is how a guy who could be a 20 on the scale 0 to 100 on the dominant scale will go talk to girls who are 20s themselves.
Yes.
And it doesn't work, and they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Right, exactly.
So how can they fix that? What can they do to learn exactly who they are so then they can know, all right, I'm a 20, so I need to go get an 80. Right?
No, you don't need to change who you are. You need to...
No, I mean, if they know that they're a 20, that means the type of woman they need to get to needs to be on the opposite side of the scale. Like, how would they know who they are so they can better understand the type of women they're going to attract?
How they understand who they are, like energy-wise, like feminine or masculine energy?
Feminine or masculine energy, but also where they stand on the dominant scale. Because you said a man who was 100 on the dominant scale would probably attract a woman who's like very low on the dominant scale.
Yeah.
So if a man is a 20 on the dominant, 0 to 100, or let's say a man's a 100, but he doesn't really understand how polarity works, he keeps meeting women who are 100s, and they just keep bumping heads, and it's not working.
He's not going to keep meeting women all the time that are 100 as well. That's the thing. Like, there will be no conversation. There will be no attraction. So that's not
so the attraction won't just happen.
Yeah, you might meet people women like that of your energy, but they're going to become buddies. They're not going to become your, people who you're interested in sexually.
Okay, so there's an article that you sent me, and I did read those articles, and she didn't know already. But I read the article about polarity. It's a really good article.
Yes.
By Jordan Gray Consulting,
yes.
Whatever it is. Jordan Gray, good article. And one of the things that he talks about in the article is, he talks about feminine and masculine energy, and how if the man has masculine energy, the woman needs to be feminine, but every man and woman have different amounts of each.
Right.
But if the man is born with masculine energy, but then because of the way he's socialized, he has like this feminine mask on, so he's displaying feminine even though he's really masculine.
Yeah.
He's going to have problems in his relationships,
yes.
because he's not really being who he really is. And then the woman who is feminine, then they're both being feminine. The woman's like, all right, and this is unconscious, she decides she got to put on the masculine mask. So now you got the woman being masculine, the feminine woman being masculine, and the masculine man being feminine. And they could be opposites. Nothing wrong with a man being feminine or a woman being masculine. But if that's not who they really are, and they have on this opposite mask,
they're going to have pain.
They're going to have all these problems in their relationships, because one or both of them don't even know who they really are at their core.
Right, but they know subconsciously they're acting as somebody else. That's why, like in a relationship, if let's say we have a fight,
Yeah.
I become more masculine. I lose all of my femininity and you get less attracted to me. You know, you're like, that's how relationship roles switch, and that's how people break up. Like women become masculine, and a masculine man is not attracted to a masculine woman. So that's why we say, like in relationship coaching or counseling, we say like, get back to your womanhood, like become this playful, fun person he was attracted to in the beginning. That's why it worked. But when women don't get the love and affection they want, they lose their femininity because they can't see beyond that. Women need to be nurtured, told that they are loved, they're adored, they need to be worshipped and adored all the time, and let know that they are loved. And if you don't give the woman that, she loses all of her femininity, because all of her femininity is about give me love, give me love, give me love.
So what if let's say the man is being feminine, which causes the woman to become...
A woman can emasculate a man. You probably have heard of that term.
That
emasculating.
How does it happen?
Emasculating would be me like mothering you too much, or being like, oh, you know, I don't know, just treating you like a mother, for instance. And then you are reduced to like this little boy, and you lose all of your masculinity. You're like, I don't feel like a man, I feel like a kid. And you don't like that because you're a masculine man. Now you become feminine, and that's why you're not attracted to me, because I become like this mother and you're reduced to a little kid.
So can either one of the people in the couple change, and that can change the other person?
Yes, absolutely. So
if the man just starts being more masculine, the woman will automatically go back to her feminine ways.
Exactly. Or a lot of times a woman needs to lead and, you know, become her feminine self. But a man has to help, because if you don't tell her, if she doesn't feel affection, she's gonna become a masculine, because women have this fear of like, okay, if I don't get the affection, I feel like he doesn't want me and our relationship is on the rocks. And if I feel unsafe, I don't have a safe space in my relationship, then I become masculine, because I'm operating on the fear mode. And that's where I'm masculine all the time. But you don't know what's going on. You're just being your masculine self. Then I'm becoming masculine, and then we're not attracted to each other. That's how we depolarize the whole relationship. So this shit is really important.
Where can people learn more? You need to have a book or something where somebody can go.
I think the best person that writes about it, Date with Destiny, Tony Robbins is like a master of this. He really gets into this at Date with Destiny. We need to go to that one.
All right, so what if somebody can't go to Date with Destiny? Where do they start?
Go on, just look it up online, feminine, masculine polarity, and there are plenty of articles you can read on it and educate yourself.
All right, so they should just read everything that they can read.
Or go to Tony Robbins' website and look up feminine, masculine energies on polarity.
All right, and let's give them one thing that's even a little bit deeper than that. Do you have a book you recommend?
I can't think of a book on this exact subject. No.
No particular book?
No. Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. That's an amazing book that everybody needs to read, even if you're not in a relationship.
Getting the Love You Want, Harville Hendrix. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think it's going to be as much venom in the comments over this one. Who knows?
We'll see. I don't know. I said I like dominant men, so you never know.
I know. You're victim blaming.
I am not victim blaming.
You're dating a black guy.
I'm breaking all kinds of rules here. What can I say?
Throwing all kind of matches into the
But you're such a masculine man.
So, all right, that's the situation, people. DreAllDay.com. Give them one last message.
Work on your game.
Get out of here.